another episode of Premiere Thursday. Thank you very, very much for joining me. This episode, as many others, will be very high quality content, and it will be in cooperation with the Premiere Thursday collaboration team or collective, which is a collective of small channels such as Glober Mom and Dutch Heretic and me, Ivy, the channel named me, Ivy. That is a very interesting channel. So check out the my playlist and the official Premiere Thursday playlist, which contains links to contains all the videos of said Thursday, whichever Thursday it is. It's updated and contains all the lists. Check it out. Before we go any further, I should and I would always love to introduce you to my always lovely co-hosts, Stefan. There we go. And the absolutely adorable little furball, always so cute and cuddly, Bertil. So Bertil is a Moomin ancestor, a Moomin-like creature, but with plenty of hair and a hairy tail, as you can see. And Stefan is a hedgehog who lives in a watering can. Please check the links in the description box down below. You will find the links to my playlists, Discord servers, and PayPal and Patreon. Patreon is patreon.com/HidesCorner, and huge thank you to my patron Flems. I am super grateful to you for being my first patron. Thank you. So the topic, fuck gender binary. I think we should get our terms right, or get the terms we are talking about here today. Okay, so what are sex and gender? Sex refers to the biological and physiological characters that define men and women and the spectrum in between. There are a number of intersex conditions that are not clear cut. Men or women, you cannot, because they have features of both. Features of both equally, and there goes down the drain the binary of biological sex, and that is something that I will come back to later in this video. Gender, thereafter, is referring to socially constructed roles, behaviors, activities, and attributes that a given society considers appropriate for men and women, and male and female are sex categories referring to biological sex, and while masculine and feminine behavior, i.e. behavior, are gender categories, we must differentiate the two, biological sex and social gender construct. The concept of gender in the sense we use it today didn't come around until the 1950s and 60s, when there were more study into this, and transgender issues became more prevalent and more out there, really. And reading, for example, our Brooke Holly from 2012, Gender, Antiquity and Its Legacy, Oxford Press. In this one, for example, about this will be on pages 1 and 2. of this said book. Before this, and it wasn't the only way that gender was uh, spoken about. The only context was grammatical gender. He, she, her, he, him, his, they, them, their. That or the third gender, the neuter, and then gender neutral languages like Hungarian, Finnish, and Estonian, and Karelian, etc. That was the only context that gender was used in prior to the late 50s, 1950s and 1960s. Please correct me if I am wrong. I wish to be corrected if I am wrong. Don't be afraid. Okay, and the Brooke Holly, the book Gender Antiquity, Antiquity and Its Legacy goes on to say, and I quote, "For as it turns out, what we can call gender is a fairly recent concept. It's not that it's not that people in ancient Greece and Rome didn't talk and think and argue about the categories of male and female, masculine and feminine, and the nature and the extent of sexual difference. Uh, they did it in ways both similar to and very different from our own. Of course, it's been 2000 years and change. Um, the problem is that they didn't have the concept of gender that has grown so influential in the humanities and social sciences over the past 4 decades since, end of 50s, early 60s. As I mentioned, the gender outside grammar, linguistics, like it has been in those fields for centuries, if not thousands of years. Uh, at least existed for thousands of years, spoken about for centuries at least. Has only started um, to emerge as a social, cultural, and social construct in recent years only. And please see my video about Judith Butler. I will link it in the description box. After this video, just go check it out. As well as a wonderful scientist, Margaret Mead. I will also link an article about Margaret Mead in the description box. She is the similar type of lady that Judith Butler is. Uh, so no matter what anyone argues, gender is a social construct. It's not. It hasn't. No matter how you look at it, it hasn't been in the society um, as such. There hasn't been a gender outside language and linguistics before mid 20th century. You can go back and look at what's being written about men and women. Yes, you can go back as long as written language has existed. You can go that far back and you can read about men and women, but that refers only to the biological sex, what genitals you have. That that's biological sex. What you have, whether you got testicles or ovaries, whether you got a dick or a vagina, womb or not. That is biology. Or you have a mixture of those. You may have a womb, and in the place of ovaries, you have testicles. It's a condition rare, but existing condition called ovotestis. So please, I think that there are videos about that. Go check out, for example, Agree to Disagree, the very first video where I argued about biological sex. Okay, going forward. Also, some scholars, like Judith Butler, again, check the video about her that I made a while ago. The link is in the description box, and go read her literature. Please do go. Anyway, Judith also argues not only gender, but also biological sex is a social construct. Why is this? Because, yes, I agree with Judith. Binary, I just talked about this with someone quite recently, actually today, that the binary in both gender and biological sex are arbitrarily set. I've heard the argument that man is still a man and woman is still a woman. XX is XX is a woman. You can you can't change that. You got XY, that's a man. You can't change that. I mean, come on, bitches, please. Come on, you can do better than that. Do you not understand where that comes from? XX, the name of the chromosome X, comes from the shape of said chromosome. The name for Y chromosome doesn't come from, for example, Yankee chromosome. No, it comes from the shape of said chromosome. It's arbitrary. 1 in 100 live births, the baby has genitals that do not directly fit into the set binary of what a vagina or a female vulva or a dick and a set of a dick and testicles should look like. So that's 1 in 100 live births. That's not that uncommon, is it? That's 1% of the general populace. It's not that rare. Plus, we got all the chromosomal spectrum. That XX, XY, there's a big spectrum. If I remember, what I could gather there are 18 variants of sex chromosomes in humans. Between the binary XX and XY, they've just picked up two, and said it. Okay, this is it. But hey, they could have they might as well have just set it to XXY being the male, because it's got the Y chromosome there, which is what defines starts the growth. Yeah, okay, I'll come to that a bit later in this video. So what can it be? XXY. It has X and Y, an extra X, but X and Y, and X, X0. That's got the X and no Y. That might as well been the binary. Why is that not a binary? XXY is, of course, Klinefelter syndrome. I wouldn't call it syndrome, but yeah, we have it. And X0 are Turner girls. Uh, not an illness. They're women, whereas anyone else, whereas XX women are. And the the human, when a pregnancy starts, the genitals of the baby, all babies I during the early stages of the pregnancy, the genitals are precisely the same, which are similar to the female genitals. If you have, if you happen to have the X chromosome, uh, that then at that then at one point starts to grows you a dick and testicles, and not a womb and um, ovaries. We as humans, we love binaries. It's either or, us versus them. It's always us versus them, you versus me. Uh, but it's time for us to get rid of that, uh, because it gets us nowhere. It only it's different parties at war and politics. One's religion or denomination of the same religion is the only correct one, while others go to hell. It's almost universally one or the other, nothing in the middle. Uh, many, but that is from a certain that comes from just a certain area of the world through colonialism. You know what I mean. I won't pick names, but uh, many many indigenous cultures in pre-Columbian Americas, especially the native and the First Nations, and the native North Americans, but as well as the Central and South American um, indigenous pre-Columbian cultures, many parts of Asia, Africa, Australia, the Aborigines there, Hijras in India, Gathoi, Thailand, Fafafina in Oceania, uh, Two Spirit in North America, etc., etc. You name it. Those are plentiful. They have an abundance of socially constructed gender identities going a long way in history, way before the colonial era of the Americas. Uh, so the need for binary genders, where does it come from? Where do we not find that um, indigenous tribes or cultures with um, with gender diversity that or the gender diversity? Yes, Europe and the Middle East. We have elsewhere. The only the gender binary spread to was force fed to the Native Americans by the European conquistadors, and later the northwestern European pilgrims who went there to look for religious freedom and then destroyed a plenty of things on their way. Since we're children, we are enforced a certain way of behavior, style, what we like, what we don't like. You know, boys don't do that. Boys don't cry. Girls don't like girls don't do that. Please don't do that. That's too masculine. Girls don't do that. Yada yada yada. That's only social issues. That's something your parents, grandparents, and peers tell you. If that is in if that is innate and you're something you're born with, you're lying. That is social construction of gender. I need and you need to go and get rid of that kind of harmful behavior. And all this is based on arbitrary lines drawn in sand centuries and centuries ago by the clergy. All that can be immensely harmful and cause lifelong trauma and damage to gender non-conforming and transgender people. For the individual, gender construction starts with the assignment of sex category on the basis of the biological genitals at birth. Only genitals, not chromosomes, only genitals. I don't know what your genitals look like. Following what comes then, what follows this sexual assignment by a healthcare professional. Parents start influencing the gender identity of the child by dressing the child in a certain way, clearly signifying the gender category, blue for boys, pink for girls, etc., etc. And there it goes. Parents start constructing the social gender of the child based on arbitrary lines drawn in sand centuries and centuries ago by clergy who were asked what is a man and what is a woman. Thank you for watching until the end of this video. Please check the links down in the description box. There will be playlist links, season 1 to 3, history with Heidi, etc., etc. There will be links to my PayPal and Patreon. And once again, shout out to my patron, Flems. Very, very big thank you for you. Very kind of you to join my Patreon crew. I hope to see many others joining there as well. And now it's time to just tell you or show you goodbyes to my co-hosts, Stefan, and of course, Bertil. Only Moomin forefather co-host on the entire internet, but isn't he the best? Okay, I will see you on the next episode of my videos. Until then, bye bye, take care. Certain way of dressing, naming, and using gender markers have become entwined together, twisted in together with the biological sex. That a biological that someone who's of a certain biological sex should be of a certain socially constructed gender, but that is not how it is. And gender development from a child stage onwards is continually affected by how others look at you, how educational institutions treat us, how parents treat us, media, etc., etc., and the varieties of social interactions force, according to Judith Lorber in Chapter 5, Sexism, Night to His Day, The Social Construction of Gender, in Morian Adams et al. Book Readings for Diversity and Social Justice, goes to say, to learn what is expected of you, see what is expected, and act and react in expected ways, and thus simultaneously construct and maintain gender order. This is not how it should be. Why? Because the gender binary is so arbitrary. There's just lines drawn in sand. Come on, you can do better than that. Why do you have to live in black and white? Why do you have to live in black and white? Us versus them, either or, you and them, you and me, us versus them, our religious denomination against the other. In school, you've had all this, you boy bacteria. In elementary school, you've got boys and girls segregated. It's just pure human segregation based on who you are, who you're born as. That should be demolished, and let the and in certain states in the U.S., let the trans girls do sports. Fuck the gender binary. This just always makes me boil, because people just don't see. Um,